Welcome to the Guardianly podcast. I'm Garrett.
And I'm Lila. At Guardianly, we're on a mission to modernize the phone call experience, to make it safer, smarter, and more productive. A big part of that mission is protecting you from the growing crisis of scam and spam calls that target millions of people every day.
Technology alone isn't enough. Education is just as important. That's why we share real scam stories with lessons you can use to protect yourself and your loved ones.
Today's story is about a travel scam with a disturbing twist. One where the victim did everything right, called the correct airline number, and still ended up losing $17,000.
So let's walk through what happened.
This case comes from Denver and was reported by ABC News. In May, Dan Smoker was trying to salvage a family vacation after a United Airlines flight was canceled due to a mechanical issue. Like many travelers would, Dan called United Airlines directly, using the official customer service number. He reached a legitimate United agent, explained the situation, and was placed on hold while the agent looked for options.
When Dan came back on the line, he was transferred to another person who introduced himself as David. From Dan's perspective, this still felt like normal customer support. David sounded professional. He understood airline bookings. And when Dan asked to be rebooked, ideally on a Lufthansa flight, David didn't hesitate, but he said there was a problem.
David told Dan he couldn't change the booking directly. But if Dan paid for a new ticket right away, United would refund him later. Dan was under pressure. He wanted to save the trip for his family. And so, trusting the process, he agreed. What Dan didn't know was that David wasn't just impersonating an airline agent. According to Dan, David actually put him on hold, then called United Airlines himself and worked with a real agent to rebook the family.
That made everything feel legitimate. Then David sent Dan a payment link. Dan later told ABC News he didn't find it suspicious. He'd used airline payment links before. So he paid it, $17,000. David told him the refund would be processed within one billing cycle and followed up with an email outlining the payment and refund details. At that point, Dan believed the problem was solved.
Weeks passed, no refund. By July, Dan called the direct number David had given him. David answered, said he needed 24 hours to look into it, and then vanished. Dan's number was blocked. When Dan contacted United again, he learned something shocking. United had no record of the $17,000 charge. The last charge from his card to United was just $17 from years earlier.
At first, Dan was told he may have dialed the wrong number, but Dan pushed back. He knew he'd called the correct one. That's when United began investigating and discovered what had happened. According to the airline, the original agent had Googled a phone number instead of using United's internal system, and unknowingly transferred Dan to a scammer. A single misstep led to a $17,000 loss.
For Dan, the loss wasn't just financial. It was the shock of realizing that even when you do everything right, trust can still be exploited. So what can we learn from Dan's story? Here are a few key takeaways.
First, even when you call a legitimate company, be cautious if you're transferred. If something changes, like payment requests or links, pause and verify.
Second, be extremely careful with payment links. Real companies usually process payments through their official websites, not unfamiliar URLs sent during a call.
Third, never rush large payments under pressure. Scammers rely on urgency to short-circuit good judgment.
And finally, if something feels off, hang up and call back using a number you independently verify. Starting over can save you thousands.
So that's today's story, Dan's costly detour. A reminder that even trusted brands can be weaponized by scammers when systems break down.
Next time on the Guardianly podcast, we'll explore another real-life case. A different scheme, different tactics, but the same lesson. Scammers are out there, and awareness is your best protection.
Thanks for joining us today. If Dan's story resonated with you, share this episode with someone you care about. The more people we reach, the harder it becomes for scammers to succeed.
Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and remember, Guardianly is here to protect your calls, your connections, and your peace of mind.